Talking things with my friend Liam Morgan here. We're up at my friend Dawood's apartment. Dawood is the pro pool player. Don't get in a game with him, he's a shark. I'll introduce you to him in the hills. He's looking at these magazines with Fernando Yuppie and my friend Liam here on the Concrete Wave. Michael Brooks magazine. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate what you're doing out there. You've got offshoots that are just actually good, you know. Other magazines, I don't look at it as competition. You're all helping the sport grow, and there's Concrete Wave, the one that really set the style for all of these other magazines out there. It gives us a chance to look at what we've done and then look back at it years later. You know, everybody has these memories, especially as long as I've been around. But when you can look at the pictures and see the faces, that's really fun. I appreciate it, in other words. Thanks a lot, Michael. Hi, it's Cliff Coleman here at the Lawrence Hall of Science in Berkeley, California. It's 2011. I'm here with Fernando Yuffie and Liam Morgan, and I'm also here with a good friend of mine, Dawood. Dawood Salman, he's a great chess player. He's been taking me to task lately. Respect, Dawood. Anyway, we're up here talking about skateboarding. Fernando Yuffie is one of my family members, really, in my heart. And he wants to know what motivated me to begin skateboarding. And when I was a 10-year-old, I had a paper route up here in the Berkeley Hills, and I was so small, I think I got 26 complaints on day one because I couldn't get the papers there in time. I had 60-something papers on my shoulders. But one of the stops was with these college guys. This is 1960, and they asked me if I knew what a skateboard was, and I'd never heard of a skateboard. And he said, well, this is a skateboard. And it was a 2x4, no kicktail, no grip tape, a steel shoe skate nailed to the bottom. And it was the most awesome thing I'd ever seen. So he said, try it, and I stepped on it and fell right on my tailbone. But I was 10, so I tried again, and that's how I began to skateboard. And he saw I liked the skateboard, so these guys were really nice to me and gave me the skateboard and said, it's yours now, have fun with it. And right after that, Makaha skateboards came out, and that's thanks to Larry Stevenson and the Makaha team, Bruce Logan and those guys down south. That was the beginning of the modern era of skateboarding. And Life magazine had an article with Patty McGee on the cover in 1965. But people were skateboarding earlier than that, and it just kept getting more and more popular. It was just dangerous in the clay wheel era. It changed from steel to clay. The clay or rink wheels that they used in roller rinks, they weren't the best. You know, they would hit a little pebble or a leaf or a cigarette butt and you were going down, and then a lot of people had broken bones and road rash that was severe. And just overnight, skateboards died out for about a 9-year period. And there were still some people riding a little bit here and there, but as a sport as a whole, it was almost non-existent. Then the urethane wheels, the next generation came around. My mother asked me to come by her house and say hello, and I do, and she went and bought a Bold Knight skateboard with clay wheels and gave it to me, and it wasn't much. And I went on the Buena Vista run, which is a technical run. It's got 15 difficult turns that would be great for today's downhill best. And I'm on this clay wheel board, no slide gloves, riding it down the hill, and about halfway down, I'm a full-grown man, and the wheels start heating up and big chunks of them start flying off. And I jump off and I'm cool. So then I tell my mother, thanks, you know, got me halfway down the hill, but I had fun on that one run. So she comes by the next day with urethane wheels, loose ball bearings, gives me hang 10 wheels. And I meet these guys that are going to Berkeley. They take me up to Tunnel Road. I had been there in the clay wheel days, but it was too much vibration and the road surface wasn't that great then, so we didn't ride it. With the new wheels, you could ride it, and you all of a sudden had 3 miles to just cruise. And I couldn't stop skateboarding after that. I've skateboarded almost every day since.
Yeah.
What else do you want to know? What really amazed me in the sport of skateboarding is for decades, the sliders that we knew here in Berkeley, and there was a group of maybe 30 to 35 of us, and there were also roller skaters with the quad skates sliding down the hills in this area. We kept progressing. We did the technical things at first, stand-up 360 slides, nose wheelie slides. One guy, Ken Martin, did a one-wheel nose wheelie slide back in 1978. But then we got kicked out of the university and we went up into the hills, and it was more downhill after that and not so much tech slides. And then one day I'm watching this show, Real People, and I see this guy from Brazil. It ended up to be Sergio Yuffie. And he's doing a nose blunt slide with one hand down, and he's mugging for the camera, waving. And I said, I knew there was some place, you know, and the internet wasn't out yet until later. And I knew there had to be people somewhere that had taken slides further than I had in a technical sense, and I wanted to see it. When I saw Sergio doing that, it blew my mind. And then I get a call, he's in California one day, and I meet him, and there was mutual admiration and respect going both ways, which made me feel great for both ways of that taking place. Nothing but respect for this guy. He's the greatest I've ever seen. Sergio Yuffie, absolutely #1. He beat everybody around the world, and there are people close to him now, there's no question about that. But then he went and he showcased his talents on trips with me to England and stuff, and then he came back, and to top it off, he went to Ladera de March, which is historically one of the most important places in the history of the downhill slide. And it's Ladera de March means the road of the dead. It's Portuguese. And it's where the famed Fernando Batchima, which means Batman, developed nose wheelie slides and techniques that no one had before in Brazil. And he was Sergio's idol. He named Fernando after Batchima. Fernando Amaral, Fernando Yuppie. His next son is Junior, named after Sergio. I thought the third one would be named after me. Couldn't be too disappointed. His name's Christian. Wait till you see him. He's already in Concrete Wave magazine doing a tuck for downhill. But Sergio and the technical sliders, Marc Short of England, is outstanding. Unbelievable. And I love his attitude. He says, I see these guys doing it, I know I can do it, and goes and practices every single day until, you know, weather permitting, until he's as good as they are. And you are there, Marc. Marc Short, nothing but respect for his skills. Kyle Martin. The whole crew from Chilliwack, but Chris Dahl and Kyle Martin, oh my God. Those two guys are great sliders. My favorite slide team of all time, absolutely Curva de Hill, Sergio's crew from Brazil. I always said the Brazilians were the very best. You guys have a little competition now. I'm waiting for Marc Short, some of the Canadians, and any others that I'm not thinking of at the moment that are great. There's a guy, Adam Auger, he's very underrated, but superb. I know what this guy's doing. Most of his tricks are switch, and it's nuts what he can do. And he's going, I'm not worried about notoriety. I have a good job. I'm smiling, you know. I love the guy's attitude. Adam, you're #1. So there's a lot of people out there that I have respect for in the downhill world, which was my favorite part of skateboarding in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and so on for me. K. Rhymes is out there, James Kelly, Louis Poloni, and let me just say about 200 more that are just top level, super duper skills. I'd like to speak a little bit about what I think of the potential is in the future here. It's 2011 now. I think there's two different levels of two different new generations rising up now at the same time. There are those that are between maybe 14 and 25. Liam Morgan, Fernando Yuppie, and I don't even know all the rest of them. Then the next generation that I was talking about that's coming up simultaneously is there's another set of Groms that are only 5 years old. Christian Yuppie, about to be 5. Skylar Goulter, who is 5. The Aussies have a kid who's 6 who's downhilling. These kids actually have the skill to tuck and slide and skate in a responsible way. I worry a little bit about the youth out there on these boards, but there's no holding back to the next generation. It's always been that way. They're better than the previous one. I think it'll end up in the Olympics. I think it's going to be in the X Games soon. There was a vote on Facebook, and I asked all my friends to please vote, and it said there's a possibility of the X Games returning to Cape Town in 2013, and what of 3 sports would they like to see return to the X Games? Rollerblading, luge, or downhill skateboarding. They also left a place where you could add other sports. Well, in 3rd place, I believe it was luge with near 300 votes. In second place, it was rollerblading with slightly a few more, 320 or so. And then they had downhill skateboarding with 2,500 and counting. So it's obvious what people want to see. And I'm going to ride down Centennial on my skateboard. Been doing it since the road was first put in here. It wasn't always here when I was a kid. And show you where I've been having fun all this time. When we got kicked out of the UC Berkeley campus in the late 70s, Noel McComas, the greatest quad roller skater ever, we call him Swifty. He didn't like wearing out 8 wheels sliding on the technical corners, so we came here. Why? Because it's faster, it's steeper, it's about a mile long. It has turns in it, but not as many sharp ones as the other ones. So you have a higher rate of speed, and you still have to negotiate corners. A lot of fun here. Noel doesn't need to slide at all. He can do a few slalom turns at any tough. Go to their place, by the way, too. This is Fernando's video. This would be Fernando Yuppie, Fernando Yuppie TV. Fernando Yuppie, oh yeah. Stuck on Fernando Yuppie TV.